Ocho, we are coming again. Muone Roma macho, we coming again. Opine Rossi, Tisha coming again. Nale ho kontre chaya, coming so. Yen victory. Better muone Roma. Yen victory. Better muone Roma. Yen victory. I'm being a big away. Yen victory. Better get away. Yen victory. We coming again. We first the winner's scheme. We coming again. Coalition for democratic change. Now the whole country champion they coming so. You better move a road. I say you better move your vote. You keep raising get away. Better get away. Yen say I'm morning boy. I say I come.
Good evening again, and a warm welcome to another edition of the CDC Hour. The CDC Hour is a 60-minute program of activities that look into the Congress for Democratic Change and other national issues that affect our country. Today is Wednesday, June 18, 2025, and we are here for the next 58, 59 minutes. We'll be here. Today we are discussing mostly about issues within the Congress for Democratic Change and also this issue of Mr. John Nyati, who was today one of our staunch partisans, one of our soldiers, one of our diehards, who was today presented to the court and subsequently taken to the Monrovia Center prison to be remanded in jail pending trial in the Capitol building, so-called Capitol building arson case. And so this is what we'll be discussing today. But first, let's talk about John. You know, John has been a very good friend. He has been a staunch member of the CDC. John is one person who didn't join the CDC. The CDC was built around him, like the CDC was built around some of us. If I say built around him, meaning he found himself within the Congress for Democratic Change without feeling informed. So he was one of the original members of the Congress for Democratic Change. I've been known since 2004, like myself, like other young people, especially from the borough of Town. He's a crewman, a very bold guy, a very resilient person, very courageous, brave. He's a soldier, he's a warrior, and so he doesn't have that much leverage to play around. And so John is a serious man, as I will always say. And so John was today presented to the court, but prior to that, he has made some accusations. He had made some accusations against the government of Liberia. In fact, John was brought to the country since June 6. So he has spent 12 days in the custody of the government. As we have learned, when they brought him, he was taken to a very luxurious hotel in Painesville, in the Painesville end of the country, and government decided to use him as a state witness against the 4 CDC lawmakers. Use him as a state witness to give government some information, to give the court some information. In fact, as a matter of fact, to lie on Councilor Fonati Kofa and the rest of the CDC lawmakers who are currently awaiting trial on account of the Capitol building uh, burning. So John has rejected every offer that was placed before him. We have made to we are made to understand by John that from John that the deputy director at the National Security Agency, Colonel Mark Ambler, and also 103, the 103 at the Liberia National Police, are people who were serving as intermediaries between him and the government. They were the ones who took a lot of offers to him. A lot of government officials visited him at his hotel, uh, as his accounts will go. And they promised him, they started with a promise of giving him 50,000 United States dollars. He outrightly rejected that, and they upped they offered to 100,000 US dollars. He rejected, and then subsequently upped it to 150,000 US dollars, which he also rejected for the third time, and finally offered him to give him 200,000 US dollars plus evacuating him from the country to a European country. He and his family gave him a decent resettlement benefit of 200,000. Enrolled him at a university of his choice in Europe, just to lie on these lawmakers that they burned the Capitol building. And so, John, being a loyal person, John being a committed man, uh, John being a dedicated person, a staunch member of the CDC who cannot sacrifice the CDC for anything. John told them, "No, I cannot do it. I can never, I can never lie against my conscience. I can never do that." But they kept coming to him with different offers. Different government officials kept visiting him at the hotel where he was for 12 days. And finally, when the information leaked that John Yanti had been confined in the hotel, giving the best of food, giving the best of treatment, even though the government says today that he's a criminal, but he was treated like a king prior to today. John was being visited by different officials of government and promised different things, different big offers, just for him to lie. But he said, "I cannot lie on innocent people against my conscience. It is not about the money. My reputation, the reputation of my family is on the line. I cannot do that." And so when the information leaked yesterday, in fact, one of the sisterly radio stations, one of the media outlets in Monrovia, uh, took the story up last night, and Front Page Africa reported it this morning in their front pages. And then the government felt aggrieved, the government felt insulted, and so they hurriedly arraigned him before the court. And he was taken to the Monrovia Central Prison this afternoon to serve his first night in jail, awaiting trial. A lot of interventions are being made, both by the CDC and other powerful people in the opposition, to get the veracity of what John is saying. of what John has said, but this is the real issue, right? If the government thinks they have evidence against these lawmakers, let them go to court and present those pieces of evidence. You cannot use a young man to lie on people. When you hear the government saying they have evidence to convict Fonati and the others, to convict Dixon Sibu, to convict Abu Kamara and Jacob Debbie, their fundamental reason for saying that the last hope, their last hope, they have depended on to say that is John Yati. But now that John Yati has slipped through their fingers, they are looking for another evidence. We are understanding that the representative of District Number 5, Madam Priscilla Cooper, is being talked to. It has been discussed. It has been discussed with her to use her as a state witness against Fonati and the others. So Priscilla Cooper, we are understanding that government has intended to drop charges against her in order to use her as a state witness against the other 4 people. But government is against the law to tamper with evidence. It's against the law to bribe witnesses under the law. It's against the law to bribe witnesses. And so if government thinks they have enormous evidence, they have undiluted evidence to convict those people, I think they should go ahead to prosecute the case. But government should not be filibustering around the place and making it to look like hell is coming down, and look, this is Liberia. There is always a tomorrow. Like I've always said, the government of Liberia under Joe Buckeye is not interested in finding those who may have burned the Capitol building. If the burning of the Capitol building was done by any human action, if the government was interested in finding the culprits or finding the perpetrators of those, the perpetrators who may have burned the Capitol building, the government would have even arrested people by now from the so-called self-styled majority bloc that was headed by Samuel Koga, Richard Kuhn, James Collet, Fode Fambule, Sekou Kenneth, Clarence Gard, Thomas Fowler, the rest of the people. So if this was an impartial investigation with the sole intent of unearthing the truth, the government would have done a very scrupulous investigation, oblivious of taking sides. But if you look at the chronology of events that took place at the legislature during the heydays, if I say the heydays, I mean the days of the hula baloo, the days of the tense nature of the legislature, especially at the House of Representatives. If you watch the chronology of events, having been elected Speaker of the House of Representatives, the government was not satisfied. They decided not to work with Fonati Kofa, so they started planning a coup to oust him. And they started planning a coup to oust him. And they did everything meaningfully possible. And then finally, they got a straw to hang on. He was invited by the president of Liberia to go to Italy to meet the Pope. And while there, the deal was being consummated to remove him as Speaker of the House of Representatives, which was resisted by a few lawmakers who were very strong in their approach to save Fonati. And he came back, the problem rolled on until the executive branch of government continued to bankroll the process, sent executive members of the government to the majority bloc to do business with them. When the issue got tense, we saw police officers commanded by Gregory Coleman, who's the Inspector General of Police, who would go to the chambers of the legislature and beat on lawmakers who were standing with the law, with the principles of law. And those lawmakers are all on Funati's side. Yeke Koluba, Jacob Debbie, Marvin Cole, those were some of the lawmakers that were severely beaten, assaulted in the corridors of the legislature by the police. And the police did a very partial investigation. As a matter of fact, the fire service was not, the Liberia National Fire Service was not highly involved into this investigation. The police took care of the investigation, they seized the investigation, and then they came up with a report, and then they started arresting people. Police do not investigate arson cases, fire cases. It's the National Fire Service that investigates fire cases and then submit a report to the Minister of Justice, who is the Attorney General of the Republic, right? Who is direct boss to the Director General, to the Director of the National Fire Service. But that did not happen. The police sat over the case, investigated, and started arresting people. They weren't satisfied. They sent for fire people, fire administrator instead of experts, because the Americans that came, they are not experts. They are administrators. Okay, the administrators who have provided some administrative insight for fire service in Minnesota, fire service people in Minnesota. And so if you are an expert, it means that you do an investigation with using your expertise to arrive at a conclusion. But even if you listen to the guys, if you read that report, they said there is a need for an independent forensic investigation to unearth the fight. So the investigation into the fire incident at the Capitol building was not concluded. It's not concluded. Police arresting people, jailing them, molesting them, because they want to diminish people, certain politicians who are seen as opponents of the government, right? But I think the opposition to some extent has stood firm, right? Today, for Natif, Kofa, Dixon Sibo, Jacob Debbie, and Abu Kamara are all now in court. The process has been handed now to up to the Criminal Code A from the Monrovia City Court. And so the case will have to be scheduled probably in July or August to have the first appearance of those people in court. But today, it is John Yanti. So how can you say John Yanti is a criminal? Then you took him and put him in a hotel for 12 days, feeding him with everything, giving him shawarma, giving him pizza and everything. And then, according to the family, John Yanti was promised, certain amount of money, and he was given 2,000 US dollars by the government, a money that is in the possession of the family. So There are people who would dispute this, right? But this is not anything to dispute. These things are happening. The government is desperate to find people guilty, to find certain politicians guilty, to diminish people, to disgrace them because they want to settle score. And the score they want to settle is the government under Judge Weah prosecutor Gloria Mususkar and convicted her for killing Chalo Musu, right? So the guys are saying that, look, I think we have to revenge. It's a vengeance mission that the government is on. So let's 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 intimidate them. Let's make sure to harass them in order to submit. I mean, we bamboozle them into submission. That's the trend the government is on. But seditions, this is what I have been posting since this morning. I've posted, I've made a lot of posts this morning. For those who are in favor of democracy, you seditions, I'm talking directly to you. Please listen to me. I'm under obligation to inform you about what lies ahead, about some of the issues, some of the challenges that lie ahead that you could face before and during the 2029 election. I had posted this afternoon and this morning. I said, good morning, seditions. Listen, good morning, seditions. Our comeback is very easy and possible by our shared unity of purpose. Let's unite now and win again. Join the CDC Hour today. After a few hours, I posted again. I said, seditions, our 2029 victory is in our hands only if we put our differences aside and unite. We will win easily. Tune into the CDC Hour at 6:50 p.m. I posted again. John Yanti II can never lie on anyone against his conscience, just to implicate the innocent. He's a lawyer soldier. Go look for another witness. The trial begins. So, seditions, this is a conundrum. And this conundrum, only we ourselves, our urge, our determination can take ourselves out of this. Defeating the Unity Party is not an issue because the major obstacle to the CDC coming back to power in 2029 is not the Unity Party. Trust me on this. If you have never believed anything that I have said, believe this one. The biggest challenge to our comeback in 2029 as a party CDC is not the Unity Party. We seditions ourselves are the major obstacle. We are the biggest challenge to our own comeback in 2029. Let me reiterate. Our biggest problem or our biggest challenge to unseating the Unity Party, defeating Joseph Boakai because he's going to run for re-election. Defeating Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party in 2029 is not our biggest obstacle. Our biggest obstacle is our shared differences, our disagreements amongst ourselves, our issues with each other are our biggest differences that could hold us down, that could defeat our purpose, our urge, our determination to come back in 2029. And so please listen to me. In order to defeat those obstacles and have a clear path of victory in the 2029 election, what we need to do as citizens, we need to set aside our differences, trash our disagreements in the communities, trash our disagreements with our leaders, forgive them for whatever they may have done, and forge ahead. Oh, of course, there are a lot of people in the communities, grassroots citizens, who blame some of our leaders for putting us in what we are in today. That's true. We are not perfect. We are a party of humans. CDC has semblances of imperfection. We are a human organization. We are not robots. We are imperfect. But based on this given situation, based on the given circumstances right now in the country is not moving in the right direction. The country is sick. The country needs an open heart surgery. Just in 1 year, 6 months, the country is very, very sick. The country is in the ICU. The country is under oxygen. The gas are stealing on an astronomical level. The government is corrupt on an industrial scale. Seditions. Let us work it out for ourselves. Let us work it out for ourselves. If you ever thought that what these people are doing is bad, wait until 2029. God forbid, if they were to win election in 2029, they will treat you more horribly. There will be more horrible treatments meted against seditions. Trust me that. Trust me on that. So, we rather come together now. We rather come together now. I know even me, I may have wronged some people, right? Because I was in the government. Some people will complain on me, oh, Ishaka, you are one of the reasons for which George Weah was defeated. People will say that. Like they will say that to many other people that were in the government. I'm a human being. But if you think we were bad, these guys are worse. Why are you not saying the same thing about them? We were not bad people. We were sailing the country in the right direction. And so seditions in the communities, in the districts, walk to your partisan, walk to your brother, walk to your sister who are seditions and say, look, my sister, let us put our differences aside and come together. Let us put our differences aside and come back together. If I have wronged you, my sister, I'm sorry. My brother, I know I was not perfect. Please forgive me. Please forgive the CDC. Do not treat the CDC because of me. Do not maltreat the CDC because of me. Because the party is bigger than any individual. The party is even bigger than George Weah. George Weah will leave this party with us. Jefferson Koji will leave this party with us. Janga Kowo will leave this party with us. There have come leaders of the CDC, and some of those leaders have gone. Some of them are no more. Some of them are dead and gone. They were some of the most powerful leaders in the CDC, like George Solo, like Geraldine Doe Sharif, like Joshua Saki. You know, some of those people are still alive. Some are dead and gone. But the CDC has remained. Talk to your partisans in the community, in the zones. Say, look, we are sorry. We can come together. We can defeat these people. The lifespan of the CDC was not 6 years that we spent in power. No, some people thought that the CDC could do just everything for its partisans in 6 years. No, that was the mistake. That was the mistake we made at some point. If you had given George Weah a second term, a second 6 years, my brothers and sisters, you would have reviewed better things. You would have seen better, right? Most of the current, projects being implemented by the current administration are the CDC projects. Those are the projects we would have implemented in our second term and seek for new ones. There were a lot of different international engagements to get a lot of public infrastructure done for the country, like the overpass that the government is so much boasting about building from the Chinese, right? We were implementing it. We were going to implement it. The Japanese, and not Japanese, but the Bushra Island Road. In fact, as I speak to you, the quality of that road has been reduced by the government. The quality of road that was crafted, that was planned by the CDC to have been done on that road, right? The quality, the quality that was to be placed in that road, the government has reduced it. So they are doing a less quality work than the CDC would have done. In fact, when they came, they told MDMC that is doing the contract that they were no more comfortable in MDMC doing the job. The MDMC had to take the government to court, and there was some 7 months adjudication process at the Supreme Court, and that's how MDMC won the government in court. So they were under obligation. It's a contract. So MDMC is now doing the job. MDMC is now doing the job. But the most